Well, we turn now to page 42, and we turn to Hashkivenu. And perhaps appropriate that I leave my guitar here for this next part of the service, because here, throughout the time since October 7th, we've had the chair for the hostages, who of course cannot be in any service in person, who cannot take part in the joys that we've been enjoying every Friday night all these many weeks and years. And we come to this Shabbat as the news has just broken these last couple days that there has been an agreement on a ceasefire deal, and that the Israeli cabinet just hours ago today agreed to ratify the deal, and the deal is now expected to go through on Sunday. So it's a very meaningful time to gather together. It's a time when we have this news that while still coming in an uncertain time, while still coming in a time that is not yet as steady as we want it to be, as steady as everyone deserves for their times to be, nonetheless is a time that offers the potential for something better, a time that offers a reason to hope, a time that suggests we may be crossing over the threshold into a new reality that might be a better one for our people, for our brothers and sisters and kin in the modern Jewish homeland, for our neighbors, the Palestinians, and perhaps even the broader Middle East, with the prayer that perhaps these ripples might widen a bit and a bit more, as we always pray that ripples of peace might do. So it's a very meaningful and poignant time for us to come together and to register in our hearts and our spirits the meaning and the impact of this news with all of its facets, including the uncertainty, but also the reason for hope. As former Israeli foreign minister and peace negotiator Tzipi Livni said, the future is built by realists who dare to dream. Perhaps this moment, even with all its precariousness and complexity, might have a little seed of the kind of realism that dares to dream. And so, to take this news into our hearts and to mark it together, I invite us to join in our handouts to a poem on the third page by the great modern Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai, that I think evokes all of these different emotions very heartfeltly. Yehuda Amichai fought in the 1948 War of Independence, and so he knew from whence he spoke when just a few years later he wrote these words in 1955. And we'll combine this poem with the prayer that we always say, Hashkivenu, where we ask for God's divine shelter of peace, Sukkot Shalom. A prayer, again, that we say every time we pray in the evening, but it always, even the same words mean something different when the times are different. And on some level, they're different every day, and they certainly are very different this week. And I think it's very powerful that we always come back to this prayer and to this yearning for the divine shelter of peace, Sukkot Shalom. We never say, oh, we finally figured things out, we got it all straightened out, and so we don't have to ask for the Sukkot Shalom this week. We got it all taken care of. We never say that. We know life is much more complex than that. There's always more of the divine shelter of peace, Sukkot Shalom, to yearn for. But we also never come in to prayer and say, things are so bad, we're just going to give up on praying for the Sukkot Shalom, the shelter of peace. Why even bother? Why even bother this week? Why even bother tonight? Our tradition guides, and we may feel those emotions sometimes. Those are very natural emotions, and we can validate those emotions in our hearts and each other's hearts. But our tradition guides us all the same to come back to saying these words. Our tradition guides us to feel that there's always a reason to at least yearn for the Sukkot Shalom, the divine shelter of peace. And if we can express that yearning, take it from the inside and express it outwardly, and share it among each other, perhaps we've already created a modicum of that shelter of peace together in our sacred gathering, with prayers that we can build it more and more in this world. So I invite forward Robert Moschel to read it for us in the English, and I will then read it in the Hebrew.
Now, when the waters press mightily on the walls of the dams, now, when the
white storks, returning, are transformed amid the firmament into fleets of jet planes. Again, we will feel how strong the ribs, and how courageous the warm air within the lungs, and how much daring is needed to love on the exposed lowlands, when the high dangers arch above, and how much love must be sought to fill all the empty vessels and the clocks that stopped marking time, and how much breath, a tempest of breath, to sing the small song of spring.
Yashikoa. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Thank you for the kavanah, the intentionality, and the heartfulness in your reading. And as I read in the Hebrew this poem, now when the waters press mightily, Achshav shehamayim lo chatzim ba'oz, I invite us to use the sounds of the Hebrew as a kind of guided meditation, as we hear the rhythms and the sounds of our people's indigenous language, the same language as the prayer book. In this way it was phrased in 1955 by Yehuda Amichai to convey the world that we live in now. Achshav shehamayim lo chatzim ba'oz al kirot hascharim. Achshav shehachasidot halevanot hashavot nehpachot be'emtza harakia lelahakot metosei silon. Shuv nachush kama chazakot hatzlaot v'chama amitz ha'avir hacham betoch hareot v'chama he'azan nechutza le'ehov bashvela hagluya כשהסכנות הגבוהות מקומבות מעל. וכמה אהבה דרושה למלא את כל הכלים הריקים ואת השעונים שהפסיקו לבנות זמן. וכמה נשימה, סופה של נשימה, לשיר את שיר האביב הקטן. In this spirit, please join me together in the English on page 42. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem and all who dwell on earth. And 6 lines up in the Hebrew. Ushmor tzeitenu boenu lechaim u'leshalom me'ata ve'ad olam baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.